to be comparing a new story with the one that we've been reading all week. So we're going to get to read a new story, and we're going to do some comparing between the two texts. First, we're going to go over the graphic organizers, the story structure maps from last night that we finished for homework. So we'll go over a few of our classmates' homeworks, and then we will get going with our lesson. So I have Sarah's up here. Yes, sir, do you have a question? No? Okay. All right. So we are just going to go over really quickly the story maps from yesterday and just make sure that everyone understands what they had to do with their story map. So here we have Sarah's, and in class yesterday we did the characters and the setting together in class. And what we did is we added some description words to the characters. So for Toad and Frog, we added what they looked like and a few things about their personalities. So I would have liked to see some of those descriptions with the characters. And then the setting, who can remind me what two parts make up the setting? It's two question words that both start with a W. Who can tell me the two parts of a setting? Apple, do you know the two parts of a setting?
And that time I go to eat breakfast.
You go to eat breakfast? So there are two question words that both start with W. So the setting is made up of the when and the where. So where a story takes place and when a story takes place. So Sarah put the where in the windy meadow, and we would also like to have the when. So the when the story took place was in the daytime. So we just want to make sure that our story maps included both the when and the where for the setting. Very good. And then down here for the plot, she had the problem, the kite would not fly. And then she had some of the ways that Toad tried to get the kite to fly. So she had that Toad ran fast. So we would want to make this to ran with past tense. That he waved the kite over his head. And he jumped up and down, and he shouted up, kite up. And very good, she also included that the robins laughed at Toad each time he tried a different way to get the kite to fly. And the solution was the kite fly so high in the sky. So the kite flew so high in the sky. And why did the kite fly so high in the sky? Do we know why? If we go back up here to the setting, what type of meadow is it? And I have Surrey. What type of meadow were they trying to fly their kite in?
In the windy meadow.
Yes. So what do you think helped Frog and Toad finally get their kite to fly high in the sky? What about the meadow? The weather in the meadow made their kite be able to fly in the end. That, another W word, the wind. So at the end, it was very windy, and that's what helped their kite fly. So the wind helped the kite fly. Very good. All right. Let's look at one more person's and then we will do our homework. So let's take a look at who wants their homework looked at. Does anyone? Sarah, you want your homework looked at?
Why Ariana is the science?
Why is Ariana what?
Look at Ariana sent you the picture of science homework.
Oh, I don't know. I think it just got put in the wrong folder. We can ignore it for now. We'll just look at the English homework. All right, so we're gonna look at Surrey's graphic organizer or story map for the kite. So over here under characters, she had the 3 robins, she had frog, and she had toad. She used descriptions to describe all 3 of the characters. Very good. She had the when and the where for the setting. Do we see anything here with this word? Are we missing any letters in the word setting? Balha?
She forgot the I.
She forgot the E. Very good. So in the word setting, it's spelled S-E-T-T-I-N-G. So setting, it's with an E, but very good. All right, and then let's look down at the plot. So she had the problem, the kite would not fly, very good. And then she wrote Toad and Frog tried different ways to get the kite to fly. So here with way, since there's multiple ways that they tried, this would be a plural. So we have to add an S to way. All right, and then let's read how it was solved. Toad ran across the meadow again. He had to make 4th try and the kite went up in the air. So is there anything that we can adjust here? Anyone in the class? Can we put our detective hats on and can we see anything that we need to change to make this sentence a little bit better? Apple, do you see anything?
Yes, how is solved? Toad ran meadow again. Have to make a 4th try and the kite went up in the air. It is no more any sentence. It must be a mark, not a comma.
Okay, so very good, what I see is we could add how it is solved. So we could add an it there. And then, so Toad ran across the meadow again. He have to make 4th try. So if we're using Toad ran, what is ran, a present or past tense verb? Anyone know? If I ran somewhere, this is the past. So here, he have also needs to be in the past. So this would have to be changed to had. He had to make a 4th try. Very good. And the kite went up in the air. Very good. And I would just add that the wind helped the kite fly. Very good, Suri. All right, everyone. Let's get started with our lesson and I will provide some comments on all of your homework today. So in case if you want any suggestions for how to improve in the future. Alrighty, so let's go over to our slides again. So today we are going to be talking about an informational text. Can we all say informational text? Let's all unmute ourselves and say informational text as loud as we can. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. Very good. Informational text.
Informational text.
Very good. All right. Does anyone know what an informational text is? Can we fill in this blank? An informational text gives blank about a topic.
In the chat.
You can say it if you want to chat it to me, you can, or I can call on someone to say it out loud.
Informational text is the story that happened in real life.
It's, a story that's happening in real life. It's not like a fantasy like we've been reading recently that is make-believe. This is real, and it gives us facts about a topic. So let's write here, nice and big, facts. So an informational text gives facts about a topic. So in our story, The Kite, we weren't really getting any information or facts about real life. It was a fantasy story about a toad and a frog who could talk, who wore clothes, and who were flying a kite, none of which happens in real life with frogs or toads. So we are going to try to come up with a few examples of some informational texts in our real life. So these are books or anything that gives us information that's useful and is true. So a good one that I think that we see a lot of is newspapers. So newspapers are articles that, sorry, I'm just trying to get a different color text. Newspapers are articles of words that are telling about current events. So they give facts. So there might be an article about the government and what the government is doing, and that's facts. So we can look at a newspaper in order to give us facts. Can we think about any of the books we use every day for school that might be informational text? No? What about your science book? Does that give you facts? Or what about,
A lot.
our
She tell me a lot of facts. Even I cannot even remember all.
yeah, there's a lot of facts in our textbooks. So we can say our science textbook. Even our language arts textbook has facts in it. So we can write our language arts textbook. We could also say, how about sometimes even Google could give us facts. If we were to find an article on Google that is real and is written by someone who is very knowledgeable about a subject, that would be an informational text. So a lot of books that give us facts about a topic are called informational texts. So it could even be like a book about how a tree is grown or how a plant is grown. These are all giving us facts about a topic. So today, we are going to be reading a story or a text about how to measure the weather. So this is an informational text about how to measure the weather. So can I have Sue help me read this first page over here, starting with measuring weather?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
There are different rules of measuring the weather. As well as the turn of a windsock, it shows which way the wind blows. A rain cloud measures how much rain falls. A lot song will bring a lot of rain.
Very good. So a rain gauge, so I put a picture of a rain gauge in here so we could all see. So a rain gauge is this device over here that catches rain as it falls from the sky, and then you can measure how much rain fell from the sky in a given period. So if it was raining really, really heavy and we wanted to be like, how much rain has fallen, we could use this instrument, this weather instrument, to collect the rain, and then we could use it like a ruler and we could see, okay, it rained 10 inches, or in centimeters as well. This picture is just in inches. And we could say, okay, there's 20 centimeters of rain that fell. And this is a good way of telling someone who measures the weather how much rain has fallen. So that's a rain gauge. And then over here in this picture, in the center of the screen,
Windsock.
This is a windsock. Very good. So that is not where I wanted to draw. Over here, this is a windsock. And what does the windsock measure?
The wind.
The wind. Very good. So the windsock measures the wind. Now, can I have Bon? Can you read the other half of this page, starting with thermometer? A thermometer? Bon, can you read? Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. A thermometer.
Measure temperature. Temperature is how warm or cool something is. On a hot day, you and your friend might like bye-bye or play both. On a cold day, you might want to put on a coat and play in the leaf for breathing a moment. When you know the temperature, you know what is where.
Very good. So we can see from these pictures, they each have a thermometer in their picture. And if the temperature is really warm, so this looks like it's almost at 30 degrees C, she's wearing a dress because it's hot. And over here, this kid, the temperature is cold. It's 0 degrees Celsius. He has lots of layers on because he's cold. So thermometers help tell us the temperature outside. Yes. What's your question?
Why does in America only 20? What is 20?
So in America, if it was like a little bit, this looks like it's almost at 0 degrees Celsius, that would be about 30 degrees Fahrenheit. So we use Fahrenheit instead of Celsius in America. So it gets a little bit confusing. So I just moved here to Hanoi. I'm trying to adjust to using Celsius because in my brain, Fahrenheit makes more sense to me because that's how I grew up. And it's the same thing with like the inches versus centimeters.
Celsius is more like something real to me.
Yes. Yeah. So we all have a different opinion about how to measure the weather and how to interpret the weather. So I have a hard time of seeing, okay, it's 23 degrees Celsius. What does that feel like? What clothes do I need to put on? So I have to rewire my brain and try to think in a different measurement. So all of you are very lucky to learn Celsius and not Fahrenheit. So can we think of any other instruments that help us measure the weather? Salmon, do you know any other instruments that help us measure the weather? maybe something that gets put into space and can see the Earth and big weather events that happen. I can show a picture. What is this called?
Satellite.
A satellite. So we can use a weather satellite to actually look at the weather on the Earth and see when, say, a big storm is coming. And this can help scientists. Yeah, a big hurricane or something that's really big that's going to affect a lot of people.
When I was in kindergarten, I was very scared about hurricane because I read stories about hurricane, and when it rains, I was very scared.
Yeah.
Now it's better.
Yeah, where I lived in America, we would get a lot of hurricanes because I lived at the coast, so on the ocean, and we would get a lot
Florida.
I didn't live in Florida. No, I lived in New Jersey, but we still had an ocean, and we would get hurricanes that would come up the coast from Florida, and they'd make their way all the way up to New Jersey, and we would have hurricanes. Very good.
But Miss Taylor, but do you have flood in America?
We have flooding, but I don't think it's as bad as here. So we may have a flood every few years, but it's not like every year. It's getting to be more frequent, more floods, but they're not like lots of meters of water. It's just like a little bit of water, and you might not want to drive your car or your bike through the water. But I don't think we get as much as here in Vietnam. So this tool is called a barometer. Can we say barometer? Can we all unmute yourselves and say barometer? I think it's a fun word. Barometer.
Barometer.
Barometer. So a barometer. Barometer. Yeah, and I can write how it's spelled. So it's spelled barometer. So it's a bar-o-meter, and this helps measure the air pressure. So it measures like how humid or how heavy the air is at a certain point in time. And this also helps weather scientists, meteorologists, interpret the weather. And we have one more really great tool that we can use to help us observe or measure the weather, which is, what is this person doing? He's going like this. What is he using? What do we have up here on our face?
A binocular.
He's using his binoculars or his eyes to observe the weather. So a really good tool to observe the weather is our eyes. So we can see what's actually going on. So we can look out of our window and we can be like, okay, today it is raining, or today it is sunny. And we can help us see what the weather is. So we have one more page in our story. All right, can I have 2? Can you read for me this?
Okay, look out at the bar above the gravity. Each bar shows the temperature for a day. Which day was the hottest? Which day was the coldest? What is the temperature like on the second day of the week?
Very good.
What was, not what is.
What was the temperature? Yes. What was the temperature on the second day of the week? So, what is a graph? So this story is talking about a graph. In science class, have you used a graph? So maybe you've done an experiment and Miss Miranda or Mr. Connor said, I would like you to put this information on a graph. Can you tell me what a graph is? I don't know.
A photograph.
So yeah, it's a drawing of data. So we can take temperatures, for example, and put them on a graph. So a graph is a drawing that uses numbers, colors, pictures, or symbols to give information. So our text has this graph, and we're going to look at it and we're going to answer the questions that is in the informational text. So what information does this graph show? So what is the title of this graph? Fong Vi, what is the title of this graph?
Daily temperatures.
Yes, daily temperatures. So what do we think that this graph tells us if the title is daily temperatures? Go ahead, Fong Vi.
It tells us the weather of each day.
Very good. So this graph tells us what temperature it was for each day of the week. So let's go and look in our story and answer some of these questions. So let's see. Which day was the hottest? Sorry. Let's look at the graph and see which day was the hottest. So over here, this is in Fahrenheit again. So the book is using Fahrenheit. So this is degrees Fahrenheit. So we have 0 degrees Fahrenheit all the way to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So which line is the longest and has the hottest temperature? Sorry?
Monday.
Apple thinks Monday. Does anyone else have any guesses as to which day was the hottest?
Monday. Wednesday.
I hear Wednesday. Anyone else? Wednesday? All right, so let's look. So Monday's temperature, if we go to the end and we go down, so it's a little over 50 degrees. So we could say like 52 degrees. And then if we look at Wednesday and we go all the way to the end of the line and we go down, it's about 69 degrees. So which one is bigger, 52 or 69 degrees? 69. So Wednesday is the hottest day of the week. So the answer is Wednesday. Very good. All right, which day was the coolest? So which line is the shortest? I hear Monday and Thursday, so let's look at both of those. So, okay, so Monday again had 52 degrees, and let's look at Thursday. Thursdays is right, I would say right in between 40 and 50, so maybe 45 degrees. So which one is smaller, 52 or 45 degrees?
45 degrees.
45 degrees. So Thursday is the coolest and Wednesday was the hottest. Very good. Now, what is the next question? Who can read the next question for me from the text? Right here. What was the... Sarah, do you want to read this last question for me? What was the temperature?
Yes.
Can you read this last question for me? What was the temperature?
What was the temperature on the day of the week?
Very good. So let's look at our graph. And what day is the second day of the week? So if Monday is the first day in the week, what is Tuesday? Ariana, is Tuesday the second day in the week? Ariana? All right, let's call on someone else. Let's see. Frog, can you answer? What day is the second day of the week? Tuesday. And what was the temperature on Tuesday? So if we look at the end of Tuesday, what do we think the temperature is? So let's look at the end of this orange bar. And if we go down, it's
16.
It's in between 50 and 60. So maybe we can say like 55 degrees. Yeah. So this graph is very helpful in finding the temperature for each day of the week. Very good. All right. So, what did we learn in measuring weather? In the text measuring weather. Can I have
Weather forecast.
Yeah, we learned weather. We learned weather forecast. What else did we learn in measuring weather? Did we learn?
We used to measure the weather.
We learned about tools to measure the weather. And another word for tools that we could use is instruments. So we can learn about weather instruments. Very good. Did we learn anything else in measuring weather?
We read a story.
We read a story. Very good. All right, so we learned about the weather forecast, so maybe daily temperatures for the week, and we learned about some of the weather instruments used to measure weather. Very good. All right, so using what we learned in measuring weather, what tool could we use to measure the weather in frog and toad? So the other
Windsock.
The windsock, very good. So we could use the windsock. Is there anything else we could use to measure the weather in frog and toad? Min chow? Anything else we could use? Is there anything you could think of that we could use to measure the weather in frog and toad? So I remember that frog and toad were wearing pants and a jacket. So maybe what could we use? What could we use to measure the weather in the kite?
Graph.
A graph. Yeah, so maybe we use a thermometer and we make a graph of the temperatures. We could do that to measure temperature. All right. Very good. We also could use our eyes and observe the weather. So in the pictures, there was a lot of wind and the grass was kind of moving and it was on its side a little bit. So maybe we could use our eyes and be like, okay, it is windy. All right, so I'm gonna give you all a minute and we are going to write a sentence about the weather in the kite. So we're gonna use a full sentence and it's going to have capital letter in the beginning, so a big letter, and a punctuation mark at the end, and make sure to use an adjective. So let's put a timer on the screen, and I want you to use either a pen and paper or you can chat it to me in the chat. And we are going to write a sentence about the weather in the kite. So let's do a minute 30. All right, is everyone ready? You either can do it at pen and paper or you can type it in the chat. A sentence about the weather in the kite, and use an adjective and a full sentence structure. All right? Let's go.
Done. Easy.
Can we use an adjective, Salmon?
Can you say again?
So we are going to write a sentence about the weather in the kite. So the story we've been reading about the frog and the toad who flew a kite. So we are going to write a sentence about the weather in the kite. And if we could use an adjective, that would be great. So a describing word.
I could not think of that.
You can't think of that? How about I don't want to give it away because then everyone else will just copy me. So we have 30 seconds. So let's just do our best and then I can provide some suggestions after we have our sentences written. All right, 13, 10, 9, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wow, that was loud. I was not expecting to be that loud. All right, very good, everyone. All right, so Salmon, do you want to read your sentence for me? No. Can I read it to everyone?
No, I will read it myself.
Oh, all right, you read it yourself.
The weather in the kite is windy.
Very good. So he wrote the weather in the kite is windy. So we could add the weather in the kite is very windy, or the weather in the kite is windy and that helps the kite fly. But good sentence. Make sure you have a punctuation mark at the end. So a full stop, a period at the end of your sentence. But you used a capital letter, so that was very good. Does anyone else want to read their sentence? Sorry, do you want to read your sentence?
I didn't start it yet.
You did not finish yet? Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Fong V, you want to read your sentence?
Yes. We can look up in the sky to see if it is windy or not.
Very good. So we can look up in the sky to see if it is windy or not. Very good. All right. Good job, everyone. So tonight for homework, we're going to be drawing a picture that shows the different kinds of weather where you live. So here in Hanoi, you're going to draw a picture that shows the different kinds of weather where you live. And then you are going to write complete sentences to go along with your drawings. And remember to use adjectives and punctuation at the end of your sentences. So we're going to be drawing a picture of the weather of where you live, and then sentences to go along with your drawings of the weather. Okay?